Hello and good evening for Wednesday. What am I doing? September 13th, 2024. We just finished watching the 9th episode of Survivor 47 titled Nightmare Fuel. But we're just going to start here on Super Mario Brothers podcast for a live stream review as we're going to recap this episode and break it all down. And I'm Dave Mader, joined by my brother Jeff Mader, and a very glitchy Jaemeel Robinson.
Oh, it's happening, folks. It's going to happen.
It's happening. Jeff's got a mustache going. He's muted as well. We'll have to figure out what's going on there. And, of course, Jason R. Phillips back with us again.
Hello.
Hello.
It's also November, Dave. You said September twice.
Did I say September?
Twice.
You know how his memory goes. It seems like the sun is setting on that.
I apologize, guys. I don't even know what month it is. I'm 2 months ago, clearly, but we're just going to talk all about this episode here. As you know what, maybe I was thinking back to the beginning of the season, guys, and the draft, and how I was like, you know what, I got a great team here this year in this Survivor draft. Don't you just wait and see, because I have Sierra and Saul, who are now the first two members of the jury, and that's really what we were drafting, right? Was like who was going to be the first two members of the jury, and I win. So, congrats to me. But that aside, Jeff Mader on as he's having technical difficulties there. My boy Saul, he gets voted out here. Now, after this burp fest in this episode, I was okay with it, almost honestly. By the end, I was just like, I didn't know this about Saul when I drafted him.
It's crazy that you see him do those burps and you're going, did they ADR those over? And then he keeps burping and it's like, nope, that's just what his burps sound like.
It colored my opinion slightly, yes.
You don't like burpers?
I guess no. I'm not a big burper myself, and those who do it for sport, I'm not necessarily. I'm more grossed out by it, I suppose. But hey, it's how it goes. Saul was feeling comfortable around these people, so he felt the need.
Yep.
And then Gabe was right in there. Teeny, who was the other? It was Teeny and Kyle. Kyle wasn't much of a burper.
Kyle could eat some of the food that was there. Well, yeah. In tribute to your gentleman who passed away from the game, I'll pour some Gentleman Jack in honor.
You mean my boy Saul?
Yeah, your boy.
Yeah.
Pour some out.
Yeah, and salty Sierra, as we saw her tonight at the jury, she was not. I'm not sure exactly what she's so upset about. Maybe at Andy. I don't know. Break this all down this episode, guys. What the hell happened? Why did Saul go out in a unanimous vote here?
He spoke about my man, right? And he got.
He got more than got. Like this was almost reckless. Like, Teeny votes for Saul. She's crying by the end of this tribal. It was gonna maybe be Sue. It was maybe gonna be Kyle. It was gonna maybe be a lot of people. But then ultimately everyone gets so confused. They all vote for Saul.
They did that thing again too, where it was like Saul was a sure thing, and then they, showed camp, and everybody was switching their vote, and then all during tribal they were switching up their vote. But I get the impression that it was always Saul. But I also don't get why. It didn't feel super clear to me why he was the one on the chopping block. Was it just because they didn't have anybody else to go for?
No, it was Genevieve.
Well, she was. I think the major force here. Let's do a sound check on Jeff Mader.
Test.
All right, he's good. So as he's joining the conversation here, Jeff, What the hell happened in this tribal?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. The cardinal rule of survival tribal was broken. The first person to get up and start scrambling goes home. Don't do it. Saul, he was going home anyway. But I don't know. Like,
was he going unanimous though before all this chaos?
It seemed like it.
Teeny was voting. What? Why all this conversation with Teeny and Sam?
Because Sam was confused what was going on.
like Teeny, why was Teeny asking Gabe what the plan was over and over again?
I don't know.
No.
And also, like, why is it happen? Like, why is it allowed? Like, if you don't have your shit together by the time you hit your stumps, there's no scrambling. No, go vote. You know, like, I don't like it. I think it should, like, it so bothers me because it's just like they don't, like, when they vote in Big Brother, you're not allowed to talk to each other like once the voting starts. Like, they have to be quiet, you know?
So
But this is evolved. This is evolved Survivor at this point. We've seen some very epic moments happen through the scramble.
the live tribal.
I was saying I was not in a minute. It's been a minute since there was one like this. The last one was like, I think, pre-COVID, that was like this crazy. But I was saying to my wife, like, it'd be really interesting if they were like, okay, for this day only, for the rest of the afternoon, you're not allowed to talk to each other, and then no talking at tribal. You're going to all be isolated off on your own for the afternoon, just to sit and think about it. And then when you come here, you're all going to be completely fresh. And I just want to see this far in the game who's going to vote and how you're going to vote. Obviously, that would make terrible television. It'll never happen. But it's interesting because this kind of played out that way because they went in, everybody having a different sort of perception of what was going to happen. But that also feels like an edit because obviously it was Saul all along. That's just kind of how it shook out, right?
How was it unanimous?
I asked the question, though. Did everyone not have their stuff sorted out? Because it seemed pretty clear that Gabe, Sue, right? Specifically,
Genevieve.
well, she kind of played along with it a little bit. But, like, Gabe was like, Teeny, who's not a part of this vote, you're asking me what's going on? I give out a nonsense answer that obviously you recognize that I'm lying to you, right? And then anytime his allies look at him, right, he's like, he wasn't like, come over here, let's talk. It's like, we already talked about this, right? The plan is set. Let's just go with what we planned. That's it. Like, he did not attempt to get up. He didn't attempt to, like, try to, like, hey, it's Saul. There was none of that, right? It was like, we've already talked about it. There's no need to talk about it anymore. We know who we're voting for. That's it.
When did Teeny change her vote to Saul? Before this tribal started?
I think once someone came and whispered it in her ear, that was what was happening.
Yeah, when she was like, something feels weird here, and then they're all huddled up. They're like, we got to pick somebody.
So it was going to be a split Saul-Sue vote before that, probably then?
I think it could have been like at least 3 votes on Sue because I think Sam was voting Sue, and I think Teeny was going to vote Sue, and then Saul would have voted. So that's 3 right there. How many people were in this tribal?
A lot. Like, it was quite a few votes.
10? There's 10 people left.
10 people, so it could have been like a
Saul, 9
7
votes plus, but Caroline had no vote, so there was 10.
There
it
was
was
10
8
in
votes.
general because of 4.
It was a 5-3. It could have been a 5-3 vote. That's pretty
Instead,
close.
Instead, it's 8-1. And, like in this era where they're so worried about shots in the dark being played and all this, etc., and idols, the fact that you have this many votes on Saul, I think, is pretty incredible. That he's the only one who votes the other way. He puts 1 vote onto Sue. And if somebody had played an idol, or if Saul had an idol, I guess they were pretty confident he didn't have an idol.
Sue has an idol, and I was going, if Sue goes home with an idol in her pocket and all she did during that scramble was turn to Kyle and go, we're still good, right? That's all she did in that whole shit. And you could see people's mouths mouthing Sue. I guess that kind of looks like Saul as well. But I just felt it felt very weird. It felt very strange.
Yeah, like I feel like Teeny got spooked here basically, and she's like, "No, we have to. I guess I have to vote with majority. I'm too scared about what is she scared of exactly? Teeny is like this player.
She's a non-factor in this.
She drives me
game.
nuts watching her in this game because she has so much expression. But I'm like, what are you doing though? Like in the game. And
The King Daddy Topper was at the end. I love you, Saul. I love you. I was like, okay.
With tears streaming.
What was going on here with Teeny and Genevieve in this episode, where Genevieve describes this relationship as very complicated and like, she's like, I think she cares about me and I care about her, but it's like this weird description.
Well, Genevieve is also trying to maintain the relationships that she's developed. So obviously she was there during the whole Rome situation, and they bonded over it. They did, right? And so you want to keep that, regardless of how small it is. It could be the size of a mustard seed. At the same time, that relationship is a lot stronger than her relationship with, say, Sam, right? So
Yes,
you would
definitely.
try to maintain whatever little relationships as you go on, and you want that to continue on. Otherwise, you're starting fresh with Sam, and especially after tonight, how can anyone really trust Sam? Rachel shouldn't trust Sam, right? At all, right? Which to me was just a boneheaded decision.
Rachel, who else does Rachel have to trust?
And
Rachel's friends with like everybody at this point. I kind of clocked. She's got a little bit of something with everybody. It seems like.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Like she's not like she's not really in as like strong with anybody either. It feels like she's sort of like a floater in the middle, and she's sort of expendable, but maybe like is socially good with everybody. And no one's. I guess she's nobody's number one target, but I think she eventually will be once there's a few less people around. And
she has an idol.
She has an idol which no one knows about, right?
Yep.
And
Saul saved her. Saul saved her, and did she repay the favor to Saul? No.
He even said, "Come on, I hooked you up," and she just stone faced him and like walked by him, which I thought was great.
Dave, are you saying that Saul's sacrifice should just be in vain? Right? She's doing what Saul wanted, which was for her to survive. So why should she help Saul out? She's just staying true to Saul's wishes.
Do you know what would have been an awesome move tonight? If Rachel played her idol for Saul, and then she could have decided whoever the hell she wanted to go home. Like she could have just talked to Saul before the travel.
Right, but Rachel,
she could have been the kingmaker. She could have got anyone out she wanted except Gabe. So she could have went like, okay, who's the one protect? I could have got Genevieve out. I could have got
anybody but Gabe. Anybody but Gabe.
Yeah, she could have got Kyle out. She could have got whoever she wanted out. In this,
I think getting Sue out
would have been an awesome move. Like
if you get Sue or Caroline out, instead of Gabe, because I think Gabe, like if you're the other side, he's like maybe the bigger target, but he's safe in this particular thing. Getting Kyle out, he's a big comp threat, and if he makes it to the end, he has a good chance of winning. But right now,
really, do you think so?
If I'm Rachel,
yes,
I'm not voting for Kyle.
If I'm Rachel, I want to get Genevieve out.
Yeah.
Right. I'm shocked nobody is targeting Genevieve yet. Yeah. This move is going to only give her a bigger resume. And,
which I think was a brilliant move by Gabe, because Gabe is trying to build up like meat shields. It's like, oh, this is all Guinevere. This is all her. I'm gonna mispronounce this person's name.
I do it too.
Genevieve, Guinevere,
Genevieve.
Yeah.
Right? I like people. All the people who say for whatever reason that Gabe is Russell Light, Diet Russell, right? I think that people need to really pay attention to this man's game, because he's not playing a Russell game.
No, Russell's zero.
-1.
He's playing like he's playing a lot like Albert. That's who he's playing like.
A good second place game.
A good second place game. Yeah,
but who's
exactly what he's playing like?
But I froze. Really?
He did it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but yeah, that's who he kind of reminds me of. He's like a sidekick kind of guy. Like he's like, yeah, you're right, Jaemeel. Like he doesn't want the heat. He doesn't want to play that way, but he also like wants to talk to the camera as if he's his mastermind player. But everyone kind of like he's gonna get the dodo music at some point, because the thing is like the more I watch him and the audience watches him, I think people are gonna like, you're not that impressive, but you think you're so impressive.
Like, what have you done?
Yeah, what have you done? You seem to like, and I think the thing is in his mind, he's like, well, what I'm doing is impressive because I'm putting all the heat off of me. But like that's no one respects that at the end. No one goes, oh wow, way to go. Everyone kind of goes, well, yeah, you got to the end, but like, what do you have to show for it?
He was in a dominant alliance that stayed together almost near the end. He beat the best comp threat of the game 1-on-1.
Sure.
How many
That's a
votes does he
huge
have?
one.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not understanding. Yes, I have skin in the game because I voted for this person in for this draft and everything. But I don't see how people are just sleeping on this dude. I'm not saying that he's like by far the best player in this game, but I think at the end of the day, the dude has he has something there, at least an argument, right? An argument that isn't just theory. Andy's stuff is all theory. Andy is a 0 vote finalist, in my opinion. No one is going to respect his game.
I want to talk about Andy because Andy, I think, is a very.
I would agree.
You know, like, is he kind of comparable to Carolyn in a sense that he's an entertaining TV character, but in the end, like what Jameel's saying, that the jury's just not going to respect him. They're not going to vote for him. They're not going to look at him as somebody who is, like, I guess, smart enough, savvy enough to deserve a win.
No, put that back up. Put that back up. I have to say,
Carolyn was so much more entertaining than Andy, though. I just got to throw that in there.
I have to say, like,
Yes.
What is this pose? Why is he showing me his leg?
His tan
He's
lines.
trying to get that stock for post Survivor so he can get himself a little girlfriend.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody should be feeding him grapes. Like, that's when I was watching it. I was like, "What is this pose?"
Ever since he took his hair down, he thinks he's the king of the roost.
He's all that, guys. Come on.
He's all that.
Jason, did the way that you maybe it's just me. I find a lot of his language in terms of when he's talking about relationships, especially about women, it sounds like, is he talking about picking her up, or is he talking about picking her up as an ally? Because it seems like it goes back and forth. Right?
World Mind says he has no core strength.
Yeah, that's a good one, World Mind. He might be an incel, you know. He hasn't said anything too untoward, but he has acted like every time he interacts with a woman, it seems like he's some sort of wounded bird, like clingy ex-boyfriend or, friend zoned weirdo.
Right.
And he's been like labeled that by, I forget which girl, but someone literally said that.
All of them.
It was Sierra and Rachel both said similar things about him.
Annika said that too, or Annika. I'm sorry.
Annika.
Yeah, and but then when he's with Sam, it's different. It's not quite. It's not that same energy.
Well, what you're saying is he doesn't want to screw Sam, and that's why he doesn't act that way.
I don't know if it's about sex specifically. I just think he interacts with women in a very different way.
I think he looks up to Sam as like a big brother type, though. That's the vibe I get. He's like looking for his approval a lot of the time.
Yeah. Like his interactions with Genevieve are different. So maybe it's about who he's attracted to. I don't know, but it's a little.
I think he's attracted to all women in general.
Well, maybe. Sam's not with us tonight. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he just hasn't commented. But he said he sent a message just to say his girl was voted out last week, and I suspect that Sierra not being around is perhaps hurting the ratings from Newfoundland. But so it goes.
What,
we have no Sierra.
He doesn't like Sue, who's
45,
right in his age bracket, right?
Right, 45,
young spring chicken.
Yeah, but little did Sam know that Sierra is also going to be there every week on the jury, in a nice outfit. So it's win-win, and Saul will be there to burp, coming off of those Ponderosa dinners. that was gross. I was saying earlier. I think when Jeff was off, I was saying that I was like, Saul lost some points for me. I was like, I wouldn't vote for him at the end. I'd be like, no, this guy's a burper.
It was off-putting.
It was off-putting, and too long in the episode.
Yeah,
I would have rather had a better idea what the hell happened in this tribal than that in the episode. Was just how I.
Jeff's watching the dailies. Like, these episodes have to be 90 minutes. So we gotta put stuff in for time. Saul's been burping. Let's do 5 minutes on Saul burping. That's what the fans want. They don't want longer games. They don't want more tribal. They want a nice comedy bit for 5 minutes of a likable character burping, which people don't like, and maybe that'll take away some of the sting of him going home tonight. Maybe that's why it was produced that way. They're like, he's going home.
What does the audience want? They want burping and they want live tribals that go nowhere.
Don't worry, Saul. This might be like your end of the time in the game until like your final jury question. But everyone will remember this. If you were you want a shot at that. No, because there's no Sia money anymore.
I will never remember this episode. This episode will be in one ear, out the other. I will never remember this episode.
Remember Nightmare Fuel, episode 9 of Survivor 47?
No,
yeah, because last week had the auction, which I've been waiting for like 3 years, and I was chicken with your head cut off.
Did you feel you were lied to in terms of Sam saying absolute chaos?
Yes, I was saying that as I walked into my podcasting room. I'm going, did that even happen where he was like staring at each other from across the fire? And my wife was like, yeah, they showed it for like 2 seconds. And then an hour later, he goes, absolute chaos. And they really get you with those bumpers at the end of the episodes. You think it's going to be one way. Like a couple weeks ago when Gabe was talking head and then shows him hugging Guinevere, I think, or somebody, and then he does the Jim eyes at the camera, which we were kind of talking about too in this episode.
Stop jimming the camera, Gabe.
Stop jimming the camera, Gabe. We don't care.
He's always trying. Sure, but okay. Like there's few things in this beginning before the challenge. They had to like split up into pairs, right? Knowing that you're into 5 pairs of 2, obviously, and you had to just pick your partner based on whatever. And then the idea is, if you get to a certain stage, you're going to, eventually go against that partner. Like, you're also picking a potential opponent for the later rounds. A lot of like same-sex pairs here. We had like the women pair up a lot and the men pair up respectively. Teeny and Saul, I think, were one of the exceptions to that. And I'm trying to think about who all the pairs were. So we had Gabe and Kyle. We had Saul and Teeny. There was Genevieve and Sue.
And Sam.
Andy and Sam, and then Rachel and Caroline.
Yeah.
Right? And so ultimately in this challenge, we see that the first 4 people out of the challenge, the first 2 pairs, were at risk of losing their vote, which everyone goes, what? And I kind of liked this twist in this particular episode. I think this kind of worked for me because although, I think, and then they have to go play Jenga under that cave.
Reverse Jenga. Which I'm like, why are you calling it reverse Jenga?
It's literally
it's building a house of cards.
It's sideways Jenga, maybe.
With metal pieces
it's just building a house of cards.
I did really, really like the spot that they chose to do that. I don't know, cinematography wise, I really thought it was very dramatic and looked really kind of cool.
It did, but yeah.
And then the music was like extra intense for the most boring game ever. Like a WWE style, like million camera shots.
Yeah, we get like these shots of this cave, which I don't ever remember this location before in any episode.
They should have had like a dramatic, like the table and just different angles. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah, they had to build this like house of cards, I guess. What are these made of? Like are they ceramic?
I think they're metal. I think they said they were metal at one point.
Why did you just start it? Why didn't you just start piling it flat?
Oh, yeah, I think it's against the rules, right?
I didn't see it. It wasn't written down there.
Well, that would be the obvious thing to do if you could just do it flat, and that's much easier than trying to do these. But I felt like there was a rule to having to make these little triangles. Jeff, was this entertaining for you in the episode?
No. Great. Not really. I kind of thought it was stupid. But at the same time, I was like, okay, it was like I liked the challenge. This part I was like, whatever. But the challenge I did really like. I liked the way
the challenge before all this.
Yeah, I thought the challenge was one of the best challenges I think I've seen them do on the show in a long time.
The fun house. I love a fun house.
Yeah.
Style. Where there's lots of parts to it.
It was cool. Yeah, where they had all the different things and balance beam, and they did and then they finish it off with an endurance challenge. I've never seen them do that before, and I was like, oh, this is actually creative. They actually thought about doing something different. Someone actually used their brain to
this is
something different.
They actually used their brain.
This is like a final challenge level challenge is what I kind of thought about it.
Yeah, it had that vibe, and it was I was like, okay, this is really cool. I was like, they are being a little bit more creative with the way they're doing the different tribals, and the merge has got like it's got a different vibe to it. And at least they're trying. Like they are doing something different. The Jenga thing or whatever. I was like, I take it or leave it. I mean, whatever. They might as well play rock paper scissors.
I liked that they made those people feel at ease of losing their votes. That they couldn't tank. They couldn't tank the first round. Nobody wanted to tank that. You know, you don't want to lose your vote. So everybody was going to try. And
you couldn't game it either. That was the good thing about it.
Yeah, right.
You know.
So you can only maybe do that once. But I also like that this challenge didn't end with a puzzle. You know,
like every other game in the whole thing.
A lot of the team-based things ends with puzzles because they try to even out this all the physicality, I guess, you know, with mental prowess. Like, you know, like, well, maybe you will be a little slower, but then if you're better at puzzles and you're more intellectual, you'll do great. I guess is sort of that old theory. I don't know if I really subscribe to it, but that's, you know, this, like, I like kind of things like this where, you know, you have to like, it's a puzzle, but it's also like a lot of endurance and you got to run back and forth and get the different pieces. And there was a pattern to how this worked. So I thought, you know,
and a great teamwork element to all of the parts up to this point, because they're yelling back and forth. Like, we got a laugh out of them saying jumbo a bunch. I thought that's a funny word to me. But the fact that you had to call out what the next series of circles was kind of an interesting thing to do. It wasn't just like, guess it's not right, guess it's not right. You actually had to like call back and forth. And the first part where they had to go under the dirt seemed so stressful and so entertaining for the home audience because of how stressful it is. Now that we don't get the waterboard challenge anymore, I'm looking for that, you know, stuck underneath a cage element. Yeah.
You don't think the water challenge is not coming back?
They did it like 3 times and then I think that they were like, that's too much. I don't know if it was too much for TV or if there was that one where they just beat it no problem.
Like people were triggered by it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a trigger thing or because they just waited out the tide. It was like 4 hours or something.
Right. And like I remember Jam won that one in his season, and it was like, you know, I wasn't expecting that, right? Like I didn't.
And his talking head was like, you know, in my world, you gotta do what you gotta do to win. And I was like, wow, this guy's been through some stuff. If he's able to get waterboarded repeatedly,
right,
to make it through.
He's from Puerto Rico, you know. Different type. And then the final challenge here, you know, this is a classic here with the steps where you got to hold on to the rings, and ultimately this came down to Kyle and Gabe. I knew it wasn't going to be Kyle because you know, I saw like in the preview for this episode, you know, there was Teeny pushing Kyle hard in like the final hours of the thing, so she wouldn't be pushing for him if he would be not safe. You know, so Saul and Teeny pretty much go out at the same time on the second to the last rung. Do we want to give Gabe any credit just for coming out the winner of this challenge?
Yes.
I think that his body shape versus Kyle's maybe was the factor at the end. He wasn't too lanky and tall, so when he got down to that end there, you know, he wasn't as spread thin as maybe a Kyle is. The other two are sort of shorter, lower center of balance. Gabe's looks like he's just built just to sort of hang on to those final rungs. That's sort of what
he just
read for me. Just built different.
Kyle's a little bit longer limbed, I guess. You know, taller just in general, but you know,
just built different.
They're just built different. They were built in a factory.
He came here to lose and to make friends.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, the Jenga, as Jeff said, you could take it or leave it. Jaemeel, did you like it or no?
The Jenga?
Yeah.
Do you mean the house of cards? I refuse to call it reverse Jenga.
Yeah, whatever.
Reverse Jenga. That's
whatever moniker.
Putting reverse on everything.
Yeah. How is that reverse? Like, if you were building, like, you can do reverse Jenga. You use Jenga and you just do it in reverse.
You start with a full Jenga.
This is a house of cards.
Pieces. Yeah, I agree with you on that pretty vehemently at this point.
Did I like it? I thought
the consequence of Caroline losing her vote, was this consequential?
I was angry because I was like, you dummy. Saul was going to be gone, and I was happy about it.
Don't worry, he already was. So, or he would be anyway.
It was about the same length as Saul's burps section of the episode, so at least it was short.
They could have cut those two out. We could have got like a more truthful tribal council.
Yeah, we could have gotten an hour-long episode.
But what was also different here was that like the final 4 of the challenge got this reward with the burping and the sandwiches and everything, and I guess the sandwiches had led to the burping more accurately. And then before that, you got Genevieve and Sue, who aren't in this bottom 4 playing House of Cards or whatever, and they're not in the reward, so they just go back to camp and do nothing. And ultimately, it's kind of Genevieve and Sue who end up driving this whole vote. You know, I don't know if that's just the way things turn out, or but like these two get together. It was kind of what Genevieve explains in the episode. It's like me and Sue got together while everybody was off doing these two whatever, and basically they orchestrated Saul's downfall here unexpectedly, because I don't think anyone really saw Genevieve and Sue coming together. Then they pull in Gabe. And then they would have had Caroline too, but she ends up losing her vote. So, you know, I guess that's a little bit consequential. Did the Leafs score, Jeff?
Yeah, they did.
No, that's good.
They just had the game with 47 seconds left.
That's good. Well,
Michael
Lindenbaum won't be happy.
But. Yeah, he won't be happy. He's there at the game.
Okay. Oh, they're at this game?
Yeah.
Because it's in Washington. He'll be back in January or February for the revenge tour.
Right. Yeah, and like, so I guess the fact that Saul and Tini did ultimately what happened here is that Saul and Tini came like runner-ups kind of in this challenge and end up getting a sandwich, and then they end up getting sort of blindsided eventually here as the end by the end of this round, or this end of this day, because this is like they're voting out somebody every single day. Like they voted out Sierra yesterday, and who was before Sierra? It was Tiana, right? So that was 2 days before.
And then before that was, do you know who was before that? In
Rome.
Yes.
Yeah. That was day 12, right? So that was only 4 days ago, 4 nights ago, right? So,
I thought it was like a couple days between, but it's every day since there's less days overall, right?
Right. It just goes so fast. And, you know, when we have talked about in the previous episodes here that, you know, the women are doing much better in this new era for whatever reason, you know, I think Genevieve is an example here who somebody is like looking, and even Caroline, I think too, both of these players are looking very strong to make it till the end game. Sue could easily end up in the end here with maybe a Gabe or something like that.
Sue could be taken to the end very easily because she's been so inconsequential for the most part, but she's been on the right side of the votes.
I'll tell you what her move is. It's like Final 4 or Final 5, and she uses her idol and gets out Gabe.
Yeah, but like, you know... Well, I think there's a lot but the men, I don't think a man's going to win this season.
Who's the front runner to win the game right now? Who's the front runner?
I would say.
I mean, so kind of hard to say. Genevieve's been given a little bit of a winner's edit right from that when Rome was trying to control her early on. She was like, "Nope, I'm going and I'm doing," and then she's been going and doing. I could see her winning. But like, I feel like Andy's going to stumble ass backwards into winning this stupid thing. And that's probably because of you guys talking about it last week. But it's just,
we created this. We're manifesting it.
I believe
it's true. Even though it's already happened, there is an envelope out there with the winner. You know what I mean? In it.
It's already happened, but we're also steering the guys. It's kind of like Frequency, that movie with John Caviezel, however you say his name. He's like he's changing time with his ham radio. We're speaking into the past, and we're actually somehow making Andy the winner.
Butterfly
47. It was going to be Genevieve in the original timeline, but now it's Andy in this revised, this manifested time. Like I suspect that Jeff's right that there's no way that they would ever vote for Andy at the end here. You know, they just won't respect him. Or was that Jaemeel who said that?
Oh, I didn't say that. Okay, here's the thing. I would agree from seasons 1 to 39, Andy would have zero chance of winning Survivor. This new era of Survivor since 41, Andy could definitely win. Like because it doesn't matter anymore about how well they played, their idols, their confidence.
It matters a bit.
it's just the way the game is viewed now by the jury. Is they view like these moments now where they get up and they whisper in each other's ears and they do all these stupid things, and then they get to the end and then they're like, "Oh, who do I like? You know what? He seems like a really nice guy." Or
but nobody likes Andy.
No, but everyone feels sorry for him. And he's gonna get that sympathy vote. And if he's sitting beside people like that are generally disliked, which I don't know if can happen anymore because they got rid of a lot of the people that are kind of unlikable. But if he's sitting beside like Sam and he's sitting beside, I don't even know who else, but definitely Sam, because I don't feel like they're gonna give Sam the win over him. Like, I feel like they would rather give it to Andy. So, like,
right, I could buy that. So, yeah.
Imagine he beats Sam at Fire or something. Like, that would cinch the victory right there without, he doesn't need to do anything all season. He beats his one, like, big brother rival at Fire at the very end, and they're like, at least it wasn't Sam, and also he did that thing. So that's what I mean. And I agree about this new generation, this soft reboot created, you can be a hero based off of very little, where in the old days to win Survivor you had to do all kinds of crazy moves during the game, and then even the final tribal, you got questions directed at you individually from each person on the final jury, and now they just ask a general question and it's just kind of answered generally, almost more like debate format. And I think that plays in your favor to just say the right thing at the end too. You can say the right thing at the end and beat and win Fire, and you're good as right as rain.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Although, like, I'm like, the thing with the, particularly Andy winning this game, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, Andy and Sam at the end, I could see it. They give Andy the win, but there's final three. Like, what's the final three that gets Andy the win? So is it Sam and who?
Yeah, Sam and
someone
Sue.
That's inconsequential.
Sue?
They got
Sam,
Sue,
and Andy make it to final three. Andy has an excellent shot at winning.
Like,
you think people like Andy better than Sue?
No,
I think but I think they would respect like his game, quote unquote, depending on what happens. Like, Sue has really done nothing in the game.
What if Sue gets up there and says, "I'm not actually 45"? Like, what?
She's currently the only woman to win individual immunity.
Yeah, she's done something. Like, and she could say she was a big part of this vote tonight to get out Saul.
Yeah,
like,
most dominant alliance of the season.
Will she say any of that? Anytime that she has pressure put on her to talk, she crumbles.
Probably
she disintegrates.
Not. Yeah, like when she had the machete.
Sam, sports reporter Sam is just going to destroy both Andy and Sue.
I guess Sue's the most likely final three where Andy wins, where he's next to Sue and Sam. But otherwise, like, if Rachel's in the final three there, or if like Genevieve for sure. Even Gabe. What if it was like Sam and Gabe and Andy? Could Andy win that? Gabe wins.
I think Gabe has a really good shot in that final. Yeah.
Yeah.
With minimal talking, doesn't even have to win Fire.
Teeny is another one that we're like. Are we all out on Teeny? Just like, okay, so it's Sam, Teeny, and Andy. Teeny, Sam, and Andy.
Teeny might be the worst fantasy Survivor pick I've ever chosen on my team, and especially for MVP of my whole team. I don't know what I was thinking. I was hoping for another Marianne, because like I was telling you guys before, I won with Marianne, and I was like, this is it, where I'm doing it again. I'm doing the weirdo.
Honestly, beginning.
She's not crazy enough. She's not whack it. She's not whack enough.
Although right there, the big eyes. If you go back, the big eyes were just huge.
Yeah.
Also, like a player like Genevieve, if she gets to the end, she's gonna be looked at more like the villain. Like, she is gonna play cutthroat right to the end. Like, that's how
she can talk. She's a lawyer, right? She knows how to. She knows how to manipulate and talk and stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like in this new Edge of Survivor, like if you're like that cutthroat scorn player, they don't respect it because it's too fresh. By the time you're in the jury, it's only been like 5 days since she's cut you or something, and you're
Saul might not want to vote for Genevieve.
Right. Saul might not want to. Teeny might not want to. right?
No,
And they're like,
Saul
oh, Andy
would
never
vote for
burned me,
Genevieve.
you know?
Because Genevieve was not malicious like Rome.
Right.
He
Well, that's
already
true.
has the example of Rome.
But
in
she
his
was
mouth.
allied with Rome. She backed Rome up when
She
Rome
even
was
said
on.
the night, like, oh yeah, like Saul got out of Rome. Like she was like getting revenge for Rome. Like she's like, I don't think she learned that lesson.
No. Yeah. I think she's mad that she doesn't have Rome anymore. Rome was who she was going to go to the end with and win in her mind. She's probably not wrong.
Like in any other era Survivor, Genevieve, yeah, like top contender to win. But in this era Survivor, honestly, the person that I feel like has the best chance to win is Andy, and like that is what is insane about Survivor.
He
now.
still
you
feels like
you
a
guys
lot.
have to admit it. Like
he feels like he's getting a winner's edit here, or
Yes.
he's
No,
That's how I feel about it.
I don't feel that.
the more I
he's
watch
at least
it,
I feel like he's a final five at
Yeah.
least.
He's
more
a
than
zero.
that.
He's a 0 vote finalist. That's
I
the vibe
disagree, Jaemeel. He's gonna get votes.
Well, and that's what Carolyn ended up being. She ended up being a 0 vote
Right.
finalist,
Right.
right? You know, even though she's this very entertaining player, she's getting an immense amount of time in the edit. I agree with you, Jason, that she was way more entertaining to watch, and she was way more strategic and very different kind of player. But it felt like the rest of the cast is like, that person's just crazy. Like we can't.
Yeah,
deal with that person.
Caroline did one of my favorite things of all time, where she was an insane person, but she was going to her talking heads, being like, "I'm playing it up a little bit. I know what I'm doing." Andy does not know what he's doing. Every time they progress his character a little bit, he's like, I just tried it and it worked, and I guess I'm on top, baby. And it's like, no, you just got lucky a little bit, and you still have everybody else talking about you behind your back, saying things like, you're a clingy ex-boyfriend or friend zone type.
He was creeping me out tonight during this vote when they were reading the Saul names, right? And like, you just look over here at Andy at one point, and he's just kind of like, yes, like, you know, it's you know, I think as he saw more of these votes come up, yeah, he's like, yes, I know what's happening. I'm taking control of this game. This is when the Andy story comes alive. My favorite also too is when like Jeff's trying to ask all his questions, you know, like, hey guys, what's happening to the thing? And they're like, we don't know what's happening. We don't know who we're voting for. And Andy just goes to Jeff. He's just like, you're just asking us questions and we just have to deal with this right now. That's our reality. That's what
It shouldn't be. He should be the one laying down the law. He's in charge of the tribal council, and he's like, "Ooh, this is exciting. This is great."
Jeff's absorbing this energy. He loves it. The more chaos, the better for old demon Probst.
Yeah. Don't take this away from me. This is all I have in the world.
They're like doing the balancing bit at the end of that challenge, and he's licking his lips, like, "Oh yeah, more pain, more suffering." Keeps me looking young.
He claims the soul when he snuffs the torch. Really, he always has. But you know, it's at least not everybody is hugging.
True.
Know, on the way out.
I wanted was Saul gonna look back and go, Teeny? You?
He should have, yeah, even you ain't too teeny. You know, or he just looks back and burps. That should have been his legacy. You know?
That would have been great. That would have been great. That would have been memorable.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Let's have just a quick look at Saul's final words.
They got my ass. I'm gone. I thought I had my troops rallied, but they were also in on it. But this was a dream come true. I'm completely humbled by this experience, and now I get to be on the jury. And so it's not a loss for me, man. I'm good. This was just this was awesome, man.
I was amazed.
Did not know how to spell this man's name.
I thought the exact same thing. The amount of people that spelt this man's name wrong.
I get the SAUL because that's, you know, a way to Saul. It's phonetically the same. I could buy that.
That's
Sam
like
thought
Saul, you know, that's not,
better call Saul. What, you know?
You guys should be surprised how many people got it right. Because, like, SOL. How many people are gonna write? If you'd ever ask him how he spells it.
But Kyle's spelling of SOAL is the more curious one for me. I just
Kyle's a hillbilly, so he doesn't know.
No, he's from Michigan.
He's Sheboygan. Yeah,
he's still Sheboygan. You can still be a hillbilly in Sheboygan.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeehaw.
A redneck, at least.
Redneck vegan.
The redneck vegan construction.
That sounds like a cooking show. That sounds like a cooking show on the Food Network. The redneck vegan.
He's taking it on. He's optioning it out. Yeah. So I don't know. Saul was just kind of like, I don't know. I'm going to Ponderosa. I think he was just happy. Kind of like it's over. He's like, whatever. I didn't win.
Food.
You
I will say about Saul, sort of at the end here. At least he got over on Rome. Ultimately, I felt so. If Saul had gone out before the merge and all that stuff happened to him, I would probably think about Saul forever and how he got so wronged. But he had a pretty good trajectory. I never saw him. I saw him going a little bit further over some of the people that are left, but I never saw Saul winning. He's like
Saul's
too
coming
nice
back
or
for
something.
50. Saul's coming back for 50.
You think he'll be a return?
Did you hear what Jeff said about 50?
No,
he
I
said
haven't.
that. He said that when they're picking the people for 50, they're looking for people who really enjoy the game and not looking to get revenge or an axe to grind. And people are like,
is that
50,
Saul?
All axes to grind.
Well,
Like
Saul wasn't bitter towards anyone in this game.
Rome?
I don't feel.
But he got revenge. He got his ultimate revenge on Rome.
Yeah, so he has no axes to grind.
I guess,
Well, people were disappointed by that because they're like, wait, what do you mean? We want people who are angry and wants to get back at folks. We want, so Cass knows she's not going to be in 50. So yeah.
Like all of those like villain and traitor shows are really popular right now, and I imagine that they'll gain popularity in 3 years. So why not an all villain season?
Oh, that'd be great. They should do
villains versus villains.
Villains versus villains would be great too.
So if there's a all villain season, do you have to get Russell to come?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
At
in
least
agreement
as a Boston Rob like special treat.
You could even do
two villain
old
tribes,
school villains against new school villains or something.
That would be sick.
Do a proper Boston Rob versus Russell where it's all stars and not idiots.
I would rather
villain all stars versus idiots.
Yeah. Villains versus villains, but with Russell doing Russell and what's her name from the season with Sugar, who's extremely bitter. Yeah. Russell and Corinne being the Battle of the Idols commentators during every tribal, and they're just crapping on everyone playing. That to me is Dream Survivor, where he's like, look at this moron, right? I would love that.
I just was cracking up at the concept of a tribe of idiots. You're the idiot tribe. You're full of idiots. Bozo moves one after another, but it takes something.
What does it mean to be an idiot? Tell us. What do you embody as an idiot in this game? What is?
And then they do a flashback in their season that shows them being an idiot.
Yeah, you put like Eric on there or something, right?
Or
Like
Bruce
Eric, you might have had
in the first game.
Yeah, the first. Or James went home with 2 idols in his pocket. You bring back every.
Yeah.
I need the same tone. The same tone and the music that they use for the like sad flashbacks. I want that.
JT, you were written a letter.
And I want each cast member to give the most, like, because it's not even just enough to answer the question for Jeff. You have to answer it in the way he wants you to answer it, clearly. Yes. And you're just like, no, I have to be like, you're right, Jeff. I am an idiot. And this is why, as you're leading me down this path. That's how it goes here on Survivor. He's like, that's right.
Would they have to explain the merits of the season like they usually do in like the first couple of tribals, where it's like, this is heroes versus hustlers. Please explain what makes you a hero.
Right. Why are you a hustler?
Why are you an idiot?
Well, Jeff, I sold drugs for a long time, so that's what makes me a hustler.
Brendan Hans.
Okay, didn't expect that answer.
Johnny Fairplay comes back.
Johnny Fairplay, he might like come back just to be on the idiot tribe. Like, so Johnny Fairplay,
again,
you're an idiot. And he'd be like, okay, Jeff. Is this what got me back on the show?
Revealed his grandmother's already been dead for 10 years.
She's really dead.
My grandma's actually dead this time.
She actually died, Jeff. He's like, I never believe
you played 20 years ago at this point, or something like that.
I want to wait. Let me look online. Is Johnny Fairplay's grandmother dead?
She's got to be. At least one of them.
At this point. The one he was talking about.
One, specifically
I'd really just want an exile situation again. Something like that. I don't know why that was such a key part of the game for like 12 or 15 solid seasons. It seemed like maybe just like 10. But ever since they came back from COVID, it just feels like
I'll tell you what happened. The guy that never played the game went onto the beach and stayed there for like 30 days and then came back and won a couple competitions and won the game.
Okay.
You mean there was Edge of Extinction, which is what
my soul.
That's kind of what Exile Island turned into. It turned into Edge of Extinction, and then Edge of Extinction lasted for a little while, and then that went away. And that's kind of
I mean the one where you go and you're there by yourself for 3 days at a time.
Yeah, well, it used to be pretty extreme, right?
The 3 days by yourself was great because that really gave us the Dragon King coach sequence with him with the cross across his arms on the hill with the sun in the background. That was a great moment.
I always thought that they did that whole thing wrong. Okay, so I think what they should have always done for Redemption Island or that concept was, all right, you put all the pre-jury boots into the camp, and they all, at the end, right before the merge, get a chance to get back into the merge. And that's it. That's all it should be. It shouldn't be like, oh, no, and then you do it again, and then so you can come back in Final 5 now, actually. No, it should never have been that. It should only have been a pre-jury boot re-entry into the game type thing, which I thought was actually like a good idea. But then they changed it so many times, and then the Edge of Extinction was ridiculous. I never liked it, but
the one thing too in this new era is that they haven't done any kind of a theme like they did throughout all the 30 numbered seasons, the Gen X versus Millennials and what everything else that they did. I guess they maybe thought they were getting a little gimmicky and they needed to kind of bring it back. But now it's just numbers. It's like this is 46, which is like 45, which is just like 43, and
there is still a vague theme. But since they're always in Fiji, it looks ridiculous. Like when there was Medieval a couple seasons ago, and it's like, okay, the aesthetic is castles and dragons, but you're in the jungle.
I do miss those days when they were like in places like China and like these exotic, like the places that look like difficult to live in. Now it's almost like this Disney World where they're they're living on.
They can shoot it in Florida. Let's be real. Like they don't need to be in Fiji.
Well, it has like
with hurricanes in Fiji or anything. It's just so temperate all the time.
Yeah. Hawaii, there's places they could do this, but it's obviously works out there. Like they have those amazing vistas and archipelago kind of look there. But we know all these islands now. I feel like I know. Okay, I'm like, oh, this is where they always do this challenge. This is where they do that challenge, right?
Sorry to interrupt, but the update on the Johnny Fairplay information.
Yes,
supposedly his grandmother is still alive.
Wow.
But 4 years ago, Johnny Fairplay was arrested on larceny charges, allegedly stealing from his grandmother jewelry.
Oh my god!
And the charges were later dropped, but that is still hilarious.
He said sorry to the grandma, and she said, "Okay, I'll drop the charges."
I have some other news on Johnny Fairplay just coming in here. Donald Trump has actually chose him to be the Minister of Defense for his cabinet. So Johnny Fairplay is going to be part of Trump 47's presidency, and
not that far fetched at all. If only he's like, I know Johnny Fairplay. He was on The Apprentice.
We're best friends.
Vince McMahon is in charge of the competitions committee.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah. Oh
look at this specimen. We're gonna have him play the Olympics. This runner, he's so skinny. We need to get him. We need to get him some Ico Pro.
Yeah, he's got Vince McMahon at Women's Affairs or something. Sanitation. Wow. Something not appropriate for Vince McMahon. But we're on a tangent here. Where do we get back? Okay, looking forward in this season. Maybe we just have a look here at the next episode preview and see where that spurs us from there.
Do you find our core? People see the charming Andy, but I'm a smiling assassin.
Next time on Survivor.
I don't care who I have to burn.
I'm gonna get my revenge and twist the knife while I'm at it.
Kyle, hate him. I want to kill him. Done. I want to kill you, Kyle.
Okay. What's going on with Kyle and Sue is at the top of my questions. Why does she hate him?
I wasn't
Because
telegraphed
Kyle won
at all.
immunity again. She can't get rid of him.
Yeah, that's probably what happened.
Okay.
I'm the smiling assassin. That's what Andy sounds like to me when he says that.
Okay. An assassin kills people, okay?
Yeah.
Or eliminates people. Who has
Kills them with kindness, baby.
He got rid of one person, and that's it. How is he an assassin?
Who did he get rid of? Sierra?
Sierra, technically.
And then
Sort of.
not even. He just put the.
They didn't need his vote. We established it in that last week.
Yeah.
They didn't need his vote. It was like
no
a
one will
bonus.
give him credit for that vote.
No.
But in his mind, yes, he takes it on.
Right.
He did initiate it. You gotta at least say that, but at the same time, it's like
In his mind, he was part of this vote too. Him and Genevieve approached him to be part of this vote, and
Silent assassin, Dave. Silent assassin.
silent assassin. He's figuring this out. He's all that, and it's coming on strong here. Sixpence none the richer, and it's here comes Andy. I don't know. I'm still not buying it, but we'll see. He thinks he's this. Sam's looking for revenge. Was the other thing we saw in that preview.
Against who?
I guess Andy.
Really?
I don't know. Like who would Sam feel betrayed by here other than Andy?
Well, like even this absolute chaos business, right? Wasn't it kind of dumb because the vote wasn't on him? Like the vote could have easily just twisted to him.
Yeah,
Like,
it was him. It was him, and then it wasn't all of a sudden.
Well,
It becomes
it was
Saul.
him, and then it was Saul, and then his reaction is, "Hey, I'm in a rough spot. You know what I need to do? I need to mess things up." Like the axe could have fell on him. How quickly Rachel could have went and go, Sam's trying to screw me over. Let's switch back to Sam and get rid of him once and for all because he's trying to be a loose cannon.
I think Rachel trusts Sam to a degree for whatever reason. I don't know why.
She shouldn't, especially after this episode.
What
2 seconds after she told him, and don't blow up my game.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Like,
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to tell you this," and he was like, "Okay." And then he goes right to Saul and tells Saul what's happening.
like right after, right? If she does not think that he was like, she knows he told Saul.
Well, maybe now she'll be done with Sam, but like up until this point, she was at least felt of him as like an ally, more than she felt that way about Andy. Is the only other former God I remember, and now I don't know. I don't know. Like Rachel is sort of like this floater player who is kind of dangerous, but also not because she's got this idol and she's sort of. I guess she's in a good position at the end. Like, she's likable enough. She could be a threat. But right now, I doubt anyone's going to be worried about Rachel for at least a couple of votes.
I agree.
Anyway. Anything else in that preview that other than Sue hates Kyle?
I'm going to kill him. I am going to kill Kyle. First ever murder.
Jeff, don't worry. In a couple of years, and as people get younger and more attuned to what's on social media, you're gonna love the previews where it's like, I'm gonna unalive Kyle.
Oh my god! That's how you know she's
Jeff.
not 45.
Jeff, you know it's coming.
It's definitely coming. Yeah.
Well, is that a thing?
What, unalive?
They're gonna we can't say dead.
Oh god, dude,
or kill.
Unbelievable.
Because the algorithm purposely strikes you down and limits your reach. So that's why people don't say things like kill or death. Or
what?
Or they'll say SA instead of
yes,
fill in the blank.
Dave, you know what SA means?
It's like a
Schmexual,
Conan.
A schmalt is another one. So
yeah,
Conan used to say it on WCW. He'd be like, "Hey, SA."
okay.
No, not SA.
Orale.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Oh, you talking about my woman?
Yeah. Well, hey. Okay. Well, I think that's all I have for this episode. I think next one is called "Loyal to the Soil."
Yes, loyal to the wait. Is that a tribute to our guy?
It might be. Hold on. Do I still have it?
Get that clip.
A man with a mullet, big gullet, bigger heart. Let's go.
Yes.
We're talking about, of course, Kiefer from Big Brother Canada 9.
Yeah.
Who we met.
Yeah,
I
we
wanted
met.
to just bring up one small thing just to compare and contrast with the auction last week taking up 40 minutes. Did you guys think it was better paced for a 90-minute episode having a game that went on for the length of time that it did? Because I personally, while it takes a large swath of the episode and there's not a whole lot to talk about in podcast world, watching it pacing wise was much better than the auction. And also I think that's, if you're gonna have an extra long episode, I think having a multi-tiered tournament almost game like that is perfect use of the 90 minutes. I just wanted to say that, and if you guys had anything to add to it.
Well, I agree with you. I think that I felt that I definitely feel that this episode had a better pace to it this week, and I enjoyed it more. And I thought that the game was, I think it was more that they went to an interesting place. I knew it was just like a new place, like we were saying with this this set that they have now, which is not kind of like a set, that we know all the locations. So it was just like, hey, we got a new location. This is neat. Let's spice it up.
They sent a scout like find the corner that we haven't used.
Yeah.
Don't just use the same clearing we use for every single game.
Yeah.
Right. Which is what they normally do. So, Jeff, any final thoughts on your end?
I'm interested to see how this plays out in the next few votes, because I just don't see Andy going home. So I'm kind of just watching the Andy show.
You're here for the Andy show mostly.
I'm here for the Andy show.
Who's your draft pick left in this?
I got two. I got Rachel and Genevieve.
Ooh,
you're looking good. Okay.
No, Andy's winning.
No, we'll see. We'll see. If Foster somehow wins this with Andy, that would be quite fitting. Anyway, what else is going on the United Federation of Podcasts, everybody? Lots of different things coming up. I think Jaemeel and I are going to be on Sunday to talk about the Agatha All Along series.
Down the road, down the witch's
road.
Yeah. So you, me, and Davin on the Mary Mater Marvel Society will be on this channel coming up this weekend to talk about that in our MCU. Every time there's a new MCU thing, we kind of get together and just talk about what we liked about it. So look out for that. What's going on? And hey, did you see this one this week?
This tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and YouTube Live. We are in the middle of Trapped in a Cage, Nicolas Cage month. And tomorrow night we're talking Con Air. Con Air. If you haven't watched Con Air in a while, rewatch it, or just come by when we describe to you every single thing that happens in the movie and break
Jason,
it all down for you.
Quick question. Leanne Rimes or Trisha Yearwood? Do you have a preference?
I would, when I was of the age that this movie came out, definitely Leanne Rimes was my girl back then.
Okay,
I had a crush
back
on
then. I was more Leanne Rimes, but I think as time has gone on, I go, no, it's Trisha. She's the real version.
Okay.
Yeah,
Trisha Yearwood. Jeff goes Trisha
because Leanne Rimes. What's the song called again?
How do I live?
How do I live without
How
you?
do I live without you? The Leanne Rimes says one of the words really weird in that song, and
okay, Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, it always bothers me. I'm like, I can't do it. And I do think she sings it better. I think Leanne Rimes sings it better, but Trisha Yearwood's got more soul and actually doesn't say one of the words kind of in a different slang or different accent. Where I'm like, that's not right. That doesn't sound right.
I love it.
Well, there you go. These big songs that they used to throw in movies that stay with you. And anything else going on in the Federation? I guess
tomorrow is Lower Decks, my friends.
Star Trek Lower Decks. That's right. I'll be. Are you on with us tomorrow, Jaemeel?
We'll see. Let's not make promises.
Let's not get too crazy here. Yeah. We are. If you're into Star Trek, on our Live Long and Podcast channel, we will be covering Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 5. It's titled Starbase 80.
Yes.
We got some of that Enterprise era, decontamination gel going on here as they're down in their undies and going. To town with that stuff. So look out for that. We'll be on with Davin, at least, I think, tomorrow night. And we might have Justin with us, Justin Velociraptor, as he's known.
I'll give you guys a shout out, too. I follow your TikTok, and I don't know a lot about Star Trek. I'm not a huge Star Trek person, but I do stop Watch all your, because you're funny. You're funny on the TikToks. The parts that you pull out.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being a fan of our content. Unlike Benny, our British correspondent.
Yeah, well, it's how it goes. But the TikTok magic is thanks to Chris Worldmind Murphy. So shout out to him on that. He does a lot of great stuff with the TikToks, which I don't know how to do so much. He's much younger than me, like 2 years younger than me. So
don't worry, you're trying to get a step into Blue Sky just in case TikTok gets banned. But I understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always hearing about TikTok and my peripheral vision. I'm like, whatever.
Don't lie, Dave. We know you're all on the TikTok doing the dances and everything.
I'm doing. They're coming from my moves all the time. Okay, well, thanks everyone for being with us. We'll see you next time, and we'll leave you with this weird kind of moment we got in the episode. Have a good one.
I was happy for that, but then obviously that comes with repercussion because that means that necklace is no longer around my neck, which means my safety. There's the war at hand where
beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.